Calls from your breaking news and weather authority. You're watching News 10 at 5.
How much worse would the flooding in this neighborhood have been if Lansing hadn't put up a barrier on Kalamazoo Street? Good evening. Today, the city estimates that barrier helped prevent nearly $2.5 million worth of damage last month. News 10's Marcus Dash went back to the Urbandale neighborhood today, and he spoke with a man who says it saved his house, right, Marcus?
Yes, David, his house was safe, but he said they could have prevented most of the flooding in general had they laid down barricades even sooner. Art Coscarelli tells me the city did a good job of getting around telling people about the flooding before it happened. He took it as a sign to pack up and go, and he's glad the city had his back in the end.
We did get water around the building, and a lot of our neighbors flooded. But the one thing I'll say is that I think the barricade helped us because the water did not get into the building, so we were fortunate in that regard.
David, the barricade wasn't the only money saver in the end. Lansing and Ingham County have been buying abandoned houses and demolishing them so no family can move in and lose everything. Live in Lansing Township, Marcus Dash, News 10.
All right, Marcus, thank you. Not everyone is a fan of that flood barrier. At least one local business owner blames it for flooding his shop and forcing him to close temporarily. We're talking to him tonight on News 10 at 6. We have new information on this accident we told you about last night at 11. Police tell us a 58-year-old woman from Lansing died when a car and van collided at Cedar Street and Holmes Road. She was a passenger in the car. The woman driving the car was taken to the hospital and is expected to live. The 43-year-old man driving the van was arrested on suspicion of drunk driving. We will keep you updated. Doctors are trying to save the life of a teenage boy shot by his own mother this morning. Police in the Detroit suburb of Inkster say the mom shot the 18-year-old after they argued because he didn't want to go to school. Sources tell our NBC affiliate there the boy left their apartment and was shot when he was heading back inside. Neighbors are in disbelief.
It's just crazy because there's so much going on in the world, and kids are like our new future. They're our you wouldn't expect something like that.
The teenager is listed in critical but stable condition. His mother is in state police custody right now. We'll keep you updated on this story. The state of Michigan has shut down a long-running funeral home because of some pretty disgusting conditions. Connor Hansen talked with the owner, tells us what inspectors found inside.
The Charles G. Parks Funeral Home has been in Petoskey for decades. Laura, the state of Michigan's licensing and regulatory affairs, says the funeral home had an unclean embalming room with a rusty machete on the counter and a suspected worm infestation in one of the walls. Investigators also reported cremated human remains being stored with the remains of the owner's dog and pet pig. Laura's report also says embalmed bodies were found in an unrefrigerated garage. The agency says the bodies had been there since January and weren't set to be buried until May.
People come into these establishments, looking for the care of a loved one after they've passed. And what we saw in this instance, was just a level of cleanliness, conditions that, suggested infestations, conditions where we see bodies that had not been appropriately stored after being embalmed. And we know that that's not the type of care we want for loved ones.
The funeral home is also accused of failing to properly escrow money it received for prepaid funeral services. The funeral home's owner says he was completely caught off guard by these allegations.
Thought that my prep room and back area was a little too cluttered, and but I had quite a few services right in a row. I hadn't got to cleaning it yet, but it was not that bad.
The State Licensing and Regulatory Affairs Agency wants to talk with anyone who prepaid for a service at that funeral home. A blustery Thursday, but not a lot of snow to cause any travel troubles. Andy Provenzano was looking into what's ahead for our Thursday night. Hi, Andy.
Hi, David. Yeah, that wind chill just won't quit, and it's not going to go down any, the wind that is, here this evening. Wind chills in the teens. I'll stick around. There's still a few flakes here and there, but again, it's just been a dusting, mainly off to the east. Still could see that yet tonight into the morning hours. You take a look at the satellite picture, and you see most of that fading off to the southeast. The thumb had most of the snows, but off the lake now, getting a few of these flurries that'll come inland. so don't be surprised to see that happening even into the morning hours. Got a little disturbance that's coming our way that will enhance that late tonight into the morning, but then we'll finally start to break this pattern up a little bit and get us back into some sunshine. Pretty cold day, though. We're supposed to be in the lower 40s. We just barely got to the 30, 31 mark. Add that 15-mile-an-hour wind in, and it's right around 20, even teens. That's the wind chills you need to dress for tonight. This whole upper level low, you can see that big swirl is going to push out of the way. Once this disturbance goes by, then we can share in some of that quieter weather, just not all that warm for the weekend. You can kind of see those few thin flakes out there. Jackson at 29 degrees and on campus 31 degrees. Temperatures are going to be slow to climb in the next 7 days. We'll take a look at it in a few more minutes.
The Me Too movement has helped convince more women than ever before to run for public office. In fact, there are 400 women in 47 states running for Congress this year. 2 of them are first-time candidates here in Michigan. They'll be featured on the International Women's Day edition of NBC Nightly News tonight. Republican Lena Epstein is a candidate in the Detroit area's 11th district. Alyssa Slotkin is running in the 8th district, which includes Ingham County. Here's a preview of the interview NBC's Katie Beck will have with both of them.
There's so much to fight for, and I'm ready to serve.
People are concerned about what's happening in Washington, but they're concerned about their kids, their pocketbooks, like
real issues.
What's going on here, right? Local issues are extremely important, and a really important part of representing people is local issues tend to be different than the national issues that are on the news every night.
You can watch the full story on the NBC Nightly News here on WILX TV 10 right after News 10 at 6. President Donald Trump signing orders today that a lot of his fellow Republicans have been dreading. Up next, the countdown to tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, and which of our neighbors are exempt. Wind is the word of the day in the weather department. Up next, Andy tells us if more blowing snow is in our future. His hour-by-hour forecast right after the break. And taking a look at time-saver traffic, we have an accident closing one lane on M99 at Columbia Highway in Eaton County. Other than that, roads look to be clear right now. You're watching News 10 at 5.